Hey everybody, happy Wednesday! It is super late. It is already after 9 o'clock at night. But we just spent some time putting up a video contest. And we haven't done a contest in a while. I think the last contest that we did was probably around George Perez comic that we had given away a while back. And that's going back like well over a year ago at this point. So if you haven't seen yesterday's video, it's up. You guys can win a Spiro BB-8. The details are in that video on how you can win and when we would be giving it away. Since it is so late at night, there's not a lot to do or to be able to show you guys, so I thought what I would do is take a couple of minutes and show you guys some of my favorite pieces of Star Wars collectibles. I mean, you guys are asking all the time to see the collection. We did a video last year of what we had at that time, and we've added some pieces since then, but it would be forever for me to have to get a video together of everything that we have, combined with the fact that we literally have stuff sitting all over the place. It looks like hoarders in our house at this point, so we're behind in getting our Christmas decorations up and everything else due to the hours putting in for work and trying to do the video stuff. And, you know, excuses, but, you know, hopefully over the break or in the first part of next year, we'll have things organized where we can show you everything. But for now, show you a couple of key pieces that we actually enjoy, because we only have one more week to go until The Force Awakens hits theaters. People are lining up already in California. We're not doing that. We have tickets for the Disney event. We'll get there in the afternoon at some point. And wait online to try to get a seat within the theater, but I am not waiting a week ahead of time to get a seat in the movie theater when I already have a ticket. What the heck? So as far as favorite things go, let's start here. I'm going to show you a couple things. This Vader helmet, I love to death. This is not like a scale replica or anything. This was basically a costume helmet that was sold through, I think, Toys R Us at the time, many other retailers, and it's a dusty, but it retailed for probably about $100 or so, and anyway, we've used this before. We've done a limited amount of cosplay. I'll show you a picture here of what we look like. We did a hybrid of kind of the Big Lebowski and Darth Vader at one point during Celebration in Orlando, and we used this helmet. This Stormtrooper helmet is one of my favorite things because Mary surprised me with this. This is an EFX helmet. It's not one of the Elite Hero helmets. This is kind of like the plastic replica. I think this is probably about a $200 range or so. But I love this helmet to death. I love this lightsaber, and you guys saw this in a video a couple weeks ago when we talked about the storyline in The Force Awakens and the story or the journey of this lightsaber. This was Anakin's lightsaber, which is then handed to Luke in A New Hope, that is lost in Cloud City, or Bespin, if you will. So down here we kind of get a 1-2 punch of things that I really like. This R2 unit is actually a workable droid where he'll patrol if you tell him commands like to move forward paces or move back paces, etc. We picked him up years ago. He never really worked all that great, so he kind of just sits on the shelf at this point. This guy to the right of him is a hobby horse, Tauntaun, that we picked up at Celebration 5, I think, in Orlando. And as you can see, has this whole big stick, and you can basically ride him like a hobby horse. It is so ridiculous, but so cool. It's one of those items that I think probably a lot of people passed on, but one of my favorite things in my collection. This poster is kind of waiting for a frame at some point. It's not necessarily Star Wars related. This is Tenacious D, but this is their Death Star from their last record, and kind of what they've included within their own version of their Death Star. This will get hung up at some point. Out of all of the autographs that we have, these are some of my favorites. This is Alan Harris. He plays Bosk. It is a ridiculous character that's in Empire Strikes Back for a very short period of time, but one of my favorite characters. And the reason why this autograph is one of my favorites is that we met him, Jesse and myself, at Celebration in Orlando. He was a wonderful gentleman and spent a lot of time talking to us. Also behind me in some shots that you'll see is this autograph from Matt Wood, who does sound for Lucasfilm and also played the voice of General Grievous. Super awesome guy. General Grievous, probably the second favorite character of Jessie, so when we were able to meet him, he actually did the voice for her, which was super awesome. This autograph that we have up top is of Dave Filoni, and that's a picture of myself and Jesse. Not the greatest picture of me, but the picture was from Celebration 5. The autograph was from Celebration 6. So at Celebration 5, right when we got into the event, we ran into Dave on the floor. Dave is basically responsible for Clone Wars and for Rebels. We spoke to him for quite a while, and at Celebration 6 I carried around this picture for 4 or 5 days, including the setup day, and was lucky to run into him on the very last day as they were heading to a media event and had him sign the picture. So we have a bunch of Lego guys for Star Wars. This particular Boss keychain I love to death. The reason why is that Jessie bought this for me out of her own money when she made a trip to downtown Disney. And trust me, I'd rather have collectibles that have some type of meaning behind them than the more expensive things any day. We got these cereal boxes at Celebration for attending some panels, and these are all mock-ups of different Kellogg's type cereals, for the most part, or General Mills, and involve Star Wars characters. Of them, my favorite is Troop Loops. And if you guys can see up above, we've got a TIE Fighter there. That's supposed to be like the big TIE Fighter, as well as the old Millennium Falcon. We have a Ralph McQuarrie autograph. I don't have an autograph of Ralph where he signed it out fully. I know in his later years, as Ralph was getting sick, he signed things RMQ, which was very cool. I opted to get a picture of him actually working on concept art signed, so that's very cool to me. And for those that don't know, Ralph McQuarrie was responsible for much of the concept art and the characters as they were being developed for the original Star Wars and beyond. A couple of years ago, Hasbro put out figures based off of McQuarrie artwork, and we have some of them hanging on the wall here, and of course very dusty, so I apologize. But here's Obi-Wan and Yoda, and we spoke of this when we went to go see the launch bay at Hollywood Studios, that we had this Yoda figure because he is featured in the queue. And we have the Hero Star Killer. So for fans that don't know, the original scripts or storyline for Star Wars involved the hero being named Star Killer instead of Skywalker, which is interesting because in the new movies that are coming out, we have Starkiller Base, which is obviously a reference back to Starkiller. We have this concept Boba Fett. We have a bigger Boba Fett that's 6 inches, a more recent version from Hasbro Black Series as well. But this is a 3 3/4 inch white Boba Fett concept. We have the original concept Stormtrooper. I love the original Stormtroopers because they had like their little laser swords, as they were called, and they had their guns at the time as well. You've got Chewbacca from Ralph McQuarrie as well, and you might notice that Chewbacca bears a strange resemblance to Zeb from Rebels these days. Looks very similar, and Concept Vader. And so we've come to the room that the lighting is not all that great, and things are very much all over the place, so it's difficult for me to film in here. This is one of my favorite things. This is a Santa Cruz skateboard that Mary bought for me. It's a longboard with the Stormtrooper logo on it, or artwork rather. Big thing about skateboards and me, I'm much too old to ride them at this point. While I was riding one, when we moved to Orlando, had a really wicked spill on one, broke my shoulder, tore some ligaments, and had a really bad go of it. So, anyway, this is the replacement because Mary wants to collect insurance money. Now, along the same vein, we received this as a gift from one of our viewers, Beerman. It is a super amazing item to have received. I'm still waiting actually to paint the living room. That will probably get done in January or February at this point. Once it's done, we can hang this up in the room. But as you can see, Beerman made a clock out of the Santa Cruz skateboard deck. So you have that side, you have the front side. Let's see if we can show you a little Star Wars logo there. I love this to death. This is probably the greatest gift that I've ever received, not from Mary. So just truly amazing. This Star Wars football or soccer ball is one of my favorite things. This came from Celebration Europe a couple of years ago. We were able to pick one up online after the event. I love the way that they incorporated the Death Star into the ball itself. I'm a huge Death Star fan. We've got a bunch of knickknacks from the 501st. We've attended some 501st events. I'm not a member of the 501st. I don't think anyone wants to see the fat Stormtrooper, but I'm a big proponent of the 501st and the charities that they serve and the work that they do. We've got this super awesome Salacious Crumb that is a latex puppet from a couple of years ago at Star Wars Weekends at Disney. He's holding a Darth Vader dollar bill. But Salacious Crumb, one of Mary's favorite characters from the original trilogy. Star Wars Adidas sneakers are made to look like a Stormtrooper. So you see the Stormtrooper markings in their eyes on the back, and they come on a bubble card. We wore them for the weekend of Celebration a couple of years ago. We haven't worn them since, and I'm kind of ridiculous like that, but these are super cool. We've got this fez, and this fez is leather and handmade with the Stormtrooper markings. I've worn this before to Star Wars weekends as well as Star Wars Celebration out in Anaheim. More people stop me about the fez than probably any other thing that I own, Star Wars related. I love this thing, no matter how ridiculous it looks while I'm wearing it, so, you know, haters can hate. And there you go, just for reference, this is what it looks like. I love this thing. This thermal detonator was a toy from Star Wars Weekends, I think 2 or 3 years ago at this point. It's a ridiculous toy, but it looks so much like the prop for the thermal detonator that, you know, it was something that you had to have it. If you're a fan of Return of the Jedi, you had to have this thing. Laying down next to it are these 2 vials. These are really interesting items because we got these from filmmaker Chris Mocht, who made a couple of great documentaries, and we'll link them below. And I hope I'm not butchering the name, but I believe it's The Force Among Us and The Force Within Us. But one of these is sand from Tatooine, the filming location out in Tunisia, and one of them is dirt from Endor, which was out in California where the redwoods are. So these are very, very cool to me. And I think this is my favorite collectible. We showed this off the last time that we did a video about our collection, but this is a Stormtrooper with my face on it. So zoom in really close. That's me. And this was made during Star Wars Weekends using their Detect Me process. So they do a full scan of your head. You choose the hair. So at that point, I had a little bit more hair. And the beard. They couldn't do a full beard, but they did as close as possible. And they put me in the Stormtrooper outfit. So this is, it's like sandy, kind of rough resin that it's made out of. My absolute favorite thing. The last prop type thing that I wanted to show you is this E11 blaster. So this isn't like an official Master Replicas release or anything. This is just a fan cast made item. I love this thing. This is probably my favorite gun from the Star Wars movies besides Han Solo's DL-44 blaster. I love this thing. I just need to get a display stand so that this can sit somewhere properly. And so lastly, we have this other piece that has not been hung up yet. We are also still waiting for the living room to be painted for this to get hung up. This is a painting or a print done of George Lucas. It has all of his characters from his movies. So you'll see things from Indy in here, TH-1138, American Graffiti, Star Wars films, Indiana Jones, all of these great things. There's Ron Howard over there. And you'll see where he, you know, it's set obviously in the Theed setting here. But more importantly on the bottom, dun, 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 we've got his autograph. So this has been waiting a long time to see a wall space here in the house. Hopefully we get to see this very shortly in the next couple of months so that we can hang this up and look at it every day because I love this painting. So that about does it as far as a few of my favorite things. Like I said, at some point we'll show you guys everything that we've got going on here because we got a lot of Marvel stuff and other things as well. I do want to remind folks that we are going to do a live mail vlog this coming Sunday. So that is Sunday, December 13th, and we're actually going to do it at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And I know that it's a little early on the West Coast, but we're trying to find a time that's a sweet spot between West Coast and the folks that are in the UK. If you guys want to tune in, it'll be on the YouTube channel, View from the Cheap Seats. We'll open up the stuff that you guys have sent over. We'll spend a little time doing a couple of questions and answers and see what we can get done before we end up heading over to the parks later that day. On that note, we are going to sign off for the night. So thank you for all of your likes. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your subscriptions. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Have a great night. We'll see you guys.
Subscribe to the Cheap Seats. I think I got it.
All right.
I got lines.